In this episode, I want to talk to you about identifying your win condition, which basically just means how you plan to win the game. A lot of how you play the mid game, mainly mid game and late game, is influenced by how what you need to do in order to win. And usually it's very simple to say okay, well, we need to get more farm than enemy, or we have late game, we need to get to late game, or for example, I have a Sven. My Sven will get 6 items and will win, for example. But it's very important to understand what your win condition is in order to play accordingly. You want to shift your play depending on which way you're going to win the game. So in this game, the way the way we think of it is okay, well, we want to make sure that they farm as little as possible because we have a lot better pick of heroes than they do. All they really have is a Puck Coil and this Earth Spirit. So for example, if any of our heroes get a BKB, it's very hard for them to kill. They don't really have too much damage in the mid game. In the early game, they have a lot of magic damage. They have the Snapfire ulti, Viper, Earth Spirit ulti, Puck. It's a lot of damage. But come mid game, I know okay, they're gonna be pretty low on damage, not gonna be that strong. So probably we don't want to fight too much or too much 5v5 in the early game. But I know once mid game, we'll be more okay with fighting. Probably our Lone Druid will be stronger than the Viper. Antimage probably doesn't have too many items yet either. So it's a good timing to think about. And then I know okay, well, I think we're gonna win this game by managing to get more map control than the enemy. We have more lanes pushed into their map, they're farming less camps than us, which is going to let us get towers, and then after that we can go Roche and go high ground. I think that with Lone Druid especially, it's a very easy hero to push towers with and to go high ground with. So my win condition is basically I know our team wants to go high ground, I know we want to take towers, I know we want to farm for quite a while, but I know mid to late game, maybe 25-30 minutes. When my Sven is finished, maybe he has Midas, maybe he has Echo Saber, BKB, Ags, maybe on the Ags, maybe on the Daedalus that comes afterwards. Somewhere there, I know it's our timing. I know for sure I don't really want to go super late game, because I think that these heroes, once they get a lot of items, maybe once the Snapfire gets his Guardian Greaves, maybe he gets an Aghanims, they have a way of initiating. I also feel the Anti-Mage might be harder to kill later, because with his Spell Shield, he can reflect the Sven stun. We don't have too much lockdown. I have good stun for him, but me, Phoenix and Rubik, we mostly do magic damage, so we don't really affect him too much. It's at certain points in the game, I know that we want to win the game, and at certain points in the game, I know it's going to be harder for us. So when I'm aiming for this 20-30 mid-game timing, I basically know what items do I need to win the game on my hero, and what items do we need on other heroes. I know for myself, I feel the only thing I really need is the pipe, maybe a Lotus Orb. If I get these 2 items, I think I'm gonna neglect a lot of the damage. I can dispel the Earth Spirit ulti, I can dispel Viper spells, Puck Silence. It's a good way to get out of, maybe if the AM is gonna get an Abyssal, maybe he has the Mana Void, I can put it on my Lone Druid or my Phoenix. It's a lot harder for them to kill him. So I know okay, I don't really need too many items. I don't think me getting a Shivas or an AC or a Heart is what's gonna win us this game. So already then I know okay, I'm gonna be playing more to help my team. I'm gonna be playing to let my Sven and my Lone Druid get fat and farm so that we can push towers and get high ground. Our Sven is kind of our team fight winner and the hero that maybe we use to take Roche. Our Lone Druid is more the hero that we use to take towers and take Roche, take towers and high ground with, I mean. So in order to fulfill the kind of win condition that I've understood, I'm gonna play together with my Rubik. We're gonna try and look for plays. We're gonna try and set up kills. I know that in order to keep the map control, we want to defend our towers. That's probably gonna be my Phoenix's job. I know that Sven and Lone Druid is gonna farm, but I also know the Lone Druid hits a pretty early timing. So I usually try and communicate my team maybe I can ask my mid laner, especially if people play Storm Spirit or these heroes that kind of want to farm one item and then they want to fight. It's easy if you have a Queen of Pain, you can be yeah, let's go kill this guy, right? But if you have a Storm or a Lone Druid, who maybe they don't feel that very strong until they have this Bloodstone, or maybe he wants to get his Mask of Madness and a Desolator, you kind of have to respect other people in your team as well. Jumping forward into this game, all I'm kind of doing is just playing the map. I'm trying to stay out of their vision. I'm not really pushing lanes. I'm leaving that to Phoenix and my Sven. I'm just hiding and making sure that we're farming, if not as much, maybe a little bit more even than the enemy. My job is basically just to ensure that our two cores can farm and that they farm as little as possible. In some games, maybe you are more on the win condition hero. Maybe you're playing an Enigma, maybe you're playing a Doom that scales a lot more into the late game and you have a lot more teamfight impact. Then you want to be playing maybe in Sven's position, or maybe you want to play at least not to die and you want to play safe. But in a game like this, I don't really care if I die a bunch of times. I don't really care too much about farm. You look at my items, I have brown boots, I have a blink, and I'm like queuing up a pipe. It's not really items that's gonna carry the game, but it's like items that's gonna help us keep an advantage moving forward. Even though we're only slightly ahead in gold, like very, very slightly, I think we're in a very good position because like all our timings are like lining up. You can see that the Lone Druid has a Mask of Madness. Okay, he's not going Desolator, but he's about to finish his Monkey King bar. In like maybe 2 or 3 more minutes, he will have it. I see my Sven is going, mine does Echo Saber and Ags. I think like this Ags is like a big timing for us. Maybe it's not when we win the game, but it's like the first step towards taking more towers and taking map control. Fortunately, we've already been able to clear out a lot of towers with our Lone Druid, like mid and the bottom tower. So we have like map control. The enemy team has done the same thing, but because we're better at picking them off than the enemy, it's more important for us to get rid of towers than it is for them. Watch how we play now, because he just finished his Ags. We're grouping up together and we're being like, okay, let's go fight. This is the first time that we go 5 in 90 minutes of this game. The first time that we go 5, like ever. So it's important to understand that just because you want to force fight and you want to take towers, you don't want to involve the heroes that are going to be like your win conditions. You want to make sure that he can get his items so that you later into the game can hit an even stronger timing. Of course, at 10 minutes, you're stronger if you run as 5, but if the enemy team is just running around and farming, well, you maybe get a tower and you could have gotten into 3 people, that would have been like way more efficient for you. So you can see both teams are kind of playing around, like they don't really want to give up in the space. Secret wants to defend this tower. They want to be like, well, we don't want to give up map control. We don't want to give up towers. But you can see the Anti-Mage is like, yeah, guys, I'm not doing any of that. I'm farming jungle. Like he's like doing his thing, so he's kind of happy. The rest of their team, they're a little bit sad. They don't really get to have a lot of impact. All they're doing is sitting and defending the tower. However, we don't really have like the solution to this. We don't really feel like we can push this tower. So instead of like brute forcing it, I think we decide to run around or smoke around. Yeah. So instead of us just hitting the tower, like straight up, my Lone Druid says like, guys, I don't think we can do this. But I know that we have hit a timing, so I say, but I still want to fight. Look, the Anti-Mage is just pushing. He's not really gonna get involved. I'm like, guys, I want to fight. And then maybe my Phoenix or my Rubik says like, okay, guys, let's just go smoke on them. I think we can win this fight. Or maybe my Sven makes that call. I'm not really sure. Either way, in ranked games, it's probably gonna be a lot less communication. So it's probably going to be like whoever does a decision, whoever says something is going to get listened to, most of the time at least, if your team is listening. So you want to make sure that if you say something, especially if you say to go 5, that you know what you're doing and that it's like something that's calculated and not only something that you're doing out of frustration or maybe because you know that you want to fight but you don't really know how. Just doing like a YOLO smoke, we sometimes call it. Of course it can work out, but it's not something you just want to like take your chances on. And most of the time being like uncoordinated, maybe you're going to run up a hill into their vision, maybe your team is going to be disconnected, maybe somebody is like a few golds away from a big item timing. It's not like really the way you want to be doing things. Another thing to think about as well, not really related to win conditions, but of course bounty runes are very important. So this is why at almost 20 minutes we're very grouped up around here and they're very grouped up around here. And I think they're also smoking because both teams know we want to get this bounty rune. It can seem like a small thing. It's maybe just like 120 gold per person in each team, but every little thing counts. And when you have like nothing else to really fight for, these really like small details of like high level games become very important. You can see that because the Anti-Mage is just split pushing, we know we have a numbers advantage. So they're playing very safe. They actually start running away because they feel like, okay, we don't really want to take this fight. So we're the ones like shoving them away. And because of this, we can now take control and get this tower. And once we manage to take control of this, that will let us, oh well, we don't even take the towers. That will just let us go straight into Roshan. And by going into Roshan, we force them to fight us. So this is like going back to the win condition I talked about earlier. Well, here we are 10, 12 minutes later. My Sven has his Ags. This guy has, well, he doesn't even have NKB yet. I guess we felt strong enough anyway. And even though the enemy team has a gold lead, and even though like you can think like, oh, they're leading, they have an Anti-Mage that's farming, like they're up in gold, we're even in kills. That still means that we've hit our timing and this is like our win condition. So we force this Roche fight, we force them to come fight us. Anti-Mage still doesn't have his timing. The enemy team's win condition is like not met yet, so he's still just split pushing. And this ends up being a good fight for us. We get this Roche. I think we even get a nice double stun here. Maybe we kill some people in the enemy team. We hunt them down. And you can see that even after all this, their gold has still increased, but we are getting like closer and closer towards like our end goal, which is being able to go high ground with the Aegis. So, like, it's not only gold that matters, it's has a lot to do with timings and what items you need to win the game and what items the enemy team needs to win the game. So you can say it like in this game, if both teams had 0 gold and we're all level 7 for the entire game, yeah, they'd probably win because their heroes are stronger at that point in the game. If both teams had 1,000,000 gold and we were all level 30, I think they'd probably win because their heroes are stronger at that point in the game and they scale more in that way. But if both teams are level 15 to 18 and everyone has around like 13,000 on our carry, maybe 15,000 and like couple items on the rest of the heroes, I think we are stronger and that is like our timing in the game. So that like recognize these things is very important and it's not very easy to do always. I think the simplest thing is to look at your carry matchup and to understand like, okay, well Sven into Anti-Mage. I think Sven fights Anti-Mage and Sven is probably stronger against Anti-Mage until Anti-Mage gets a lot of items. Because it's hard for Sven to stun him. He can mana burn Sven very easily, he can kite him around. This guy gets like a butterfly, Sven doesn't have an MKB, Sven needs to buy BKB, Anti-Mage doesn't really need to buy BKB. There's like a lot of things to consider there. So like matchup knowledge of course comes with time, but if you can understand which carry outscales the other one, you will know like if your win condition is just to delay the game a lot, or you will know if your win condition is going to be on the timing to try and end the game earlier. Sometimes you have multiple carries. I think like Lone Druid is like kind of a carry. He probably scales a little bit harder than the Viper. So sometimes it's not enough to only look at one hero. You also need to compare multiple heroes. Sometimes you on the offlane have a very impactful hero like Doom or Enigma. There's more late game heroes. And you know like, even though we don't have the carry matchup, you feel confident like I'm going to black hole 5 people and we'll win the game if it goes to late game. So that means that you are now instead on the win condition because your carry is not going to out carry the enemy carry. So at a certain point in the game, you have to like understand where it shifts and at what points you are strong and how you want to win the game. And at certain points in the game, you need to like understand, well, even though we're winning now, if we don't do anything for 10 or 20 minutes, they will start winning, even though both teams are farming even, just because of like out in timings and BKB and team fights and stuff work. So we're in a game like this, and you're trying to figure out how you want to win the game. I would suggest that you look at like your lineup and the enemy heroes, enemy team's lineup, and you try and figure out not only like if you have late game or not, but you try and figure out at what point in the game are you going to be stronger than them, and like how do you get there, and also which heroes on your team are going to be the ones that's like going to carry. I think in this game, I'm playing Centaur, right? And I don't really scale too well into these heroes. Some games like the Retaliate is very good, and some games like me being tanky is really good, and like having stance is really good. In this game, I would say that it's very hard for me to like be tanky enough never to die. They have like a lot of damage. I think that it's more important that my Sven and my Lone Druid gets farm, so I know that my my personal win condition is like just running around and killing heroes. I want to be setting up, I want to chase the enemy heroes around, I want to make sure they're not farming. I know like I want to be running around just like not showing, maybe farming some creep camps in fog. I want to be setting up on lanes, making sure they can't push out lanes. I want to kill them, kill the Anti-Mage maybe when they're split pushing. That's like my goal. I know my team's goal is going to be to like farm this Lone Druid and Sven to a certain point when we're strong enough to maybe take Roche, take team fights and go high ground. I also know that the goal is not to go like super late game, because I don't think we'll necessarily win that easily at that point. I know like the timing we have is like around 30 minutes on the Sven's like BKB Aghanims. Some games it's going to be different. For example, if you have like an Arc Warden or a Spectre, it's very easy to say like, okay, well, I just need to drag this on as long as possible. When this guy gets like level 20 and has 3 or 4 items, it gets very easy. And some games you have like maybe you have like a Lycan or a Chen or something, and you know like, okay, well, we have a lot of power early into the game. It doesn't necessarily mean that your win condition is to win early into the game, but it can mean that maybe you can take a lane of Rax at 12 minutes, and that will like help you immensely throughout the game. So you like have like a win condition in, okay, well, we want to push your towers as much as we can, and we want to make sure that we can go high ground early. Maybe at a certain point you can't do that anymore, but at that point you're already like very far ahead. So to understand both your team's win condition and like your carry's timing against theirs and what hero you're playing also affects like how you want to play. In this game I only want to chase heroes. In other games you play like Enigma, you want to farm. You play Beastmaster, you want to farm and push maybe a little bit more. Maybe in some games, if you're playing like Underlord or Tidehunter, most of your job is just to push at lanes, maybe bait, make sure that you win team fights, make sure that you're strong when you run as 5. My hero is not really that strong when we run as 5, but my hero is like strong at ganking and finding the enemy, so that's what I'm going to focus on. In this game, I'm playing Tidehunter. It's a tournament game between us and Navi, played a couple of months ago. I already know, like just looking at our heroes, that they're going to want to push and play early. They have a very like aggressive lineup. Pagna offlane for position 4 maybe, I think. And now Pagna offlane, Treant support. Like Treant is very good at defending their own towers and pushing out lanes, but all the other heroes like Lycan, Ember, Pagna, Grimstroke, they want to play very aggressive. They want to take our towers. If both teams sat back and farmed for like 40 minutes, like clearly we would come out ahead. We have like Luna, Tidehunter, we have Necro, like all our heroes scale harder than theirs. It's not necessarily that like Ember or Lycan maybe scale poorly, well maybe Ember, but it's like how does Lycan scale into Luna and Tide and Necro to a certain extent? Well, very poorly. Like 40 minutes into the game, my Luna has like a butterfly Daedalus, he's just gonna eat him up, eat all his minions up. But he knows that like 15 or 20 minutes into the game, he's gonna be stronger than her. So me playing Tidehunter, I'll even go back and show this. I know that my job in this game is to delay the game as much as I can, is to play against the enemy heroes where they want to push. Whenever they want to take a tower, any objective really, they want to go for this tower, they want to go for that tower, maybe they want to go for the bounty rune, maybe they want to take Roche. I know that my job is to be there and make sure to delay them or stop them. In this case, I TP down bottom because they start pushing this tower. I think I end up playing a little bit aggressive and they end up killing me. This is maybe a little bit of me just being overconfident, thinking that I cannot die. My team at this point, my Luna just wants to farm. He doesn't even have boots, he's level 6, he's just gonna hit creeps. My Necro, who is pretty strong, is not a very mobile hero, so I know that he doesn't really want to rotate. I know that my Rubik also needs like a little bit more levels in farm. He probably wants to finish like Adelens, maybe he's buying Blink, maybe to get away from the Lycan. He needs a little bit more levels. I don't know, the Bane is like the compensation for me not being able to gank heroes. We have this Bane hero, they can like sleep them to set up, or he can like alter them to set up. So basically if I want to kill heroes, I know that like my job is just to shove lanes. But whenever you're playing these heroes like Tidehunter or Underlord, or like even to a certain extent Sanking or Mars, depending on how early you buy your Blink or not, it's very important that you communicate to your team that you're gonna get ganked or killed, or that the person that's sitting here and just pushing out, like a lot of common mistakes I see people make is like after they sit here and they defend this tower, they stay here and push it out, and then another guy in the enemy team, he just stays here and push it out, and because you have no kill potential, you're playing Tidehunter, you're like, well, I'm just gonna keep pushing it out. And then he keeps pushing it out and you're just kind of stuck in the stalemate where you're not really using your hero to maximum efficiency. Instead, well, a lot of other things are going on right now. But let's say my Bane is level 6 at this point, and I know the Pagna is just pushing out the lane all the time, like in this scenario. I tell my Bane, I think this guy's alone, he's been pushing here all the time, come and kill him. So you need to like use your hero in order to get information and to be tanky, but then you also need to recognize if they're not killing you and he's pushing out the lane, that means that he's probably alone and they're doing something else somewhere else. So you need to talk to your team and make sure that you like compensate for your hero's lack of gank by telling your team where the enemies are, because you're like the one still as an offlaner that's supposed to be setting up for fights, supposed to be setting up for moves, and if you can't do that with your hero, you need to make sure that you talk to your team and help your supports out. You see in this game, I go bottom because they have been pushing bottom, so my job is to defend this tower, my job is to stop them whenever they push. Now I don't have a TP, but even if I did, it's very, very important that you don't TP out to towers, especially when you're on these tower defenders. A little bit less important if you're playing this like smoke anchors, like Centaur or Axe maybe, who wants to kill people. But let's say I TP it out to bottom in this case, my TP is on a cooldown, there's no way for me to then connect mid and defend this tower. And I know that they're gonna push, because I know that's how their lineup looks like, so I know like my win condition is to defend these towers. Very important, don't TP out, don't like... Sometimes it's even better not to like TP back to base, it's better to just run back to base and then be able to TP out. Sometimes I think it's okay to TP back to base if you're sure that they can't push, maybe after a team fight and they're all dead, maybe they don't have any cooldowns, like you have to make that judgment call yourself. It's important to know which side of the map you're supposed to be playing on. In this scenario, because I'm Tidehunter against Lycan, it's kind of easy to say like, okay, well, wherever the Lycan goes, I want to follow. But let's say that instead of the Lycan TPing up here, maybe in another scenario, like Lycan runs top, and then I TP top. And then he could just very simply TP bottom and push this tower. It's like a scenario I want to avoid. So I need to be very careful about being stuck in the mindset of, okay, I just want to chase this guy, I just want to like follow him no matter what. It's more of a mindset of, I want to put myself for whatever objective they want to go on. A very common thing is Roche. If you're at a point in the game, maybe a little bit further forward, I would say like here, this point in the game, the Lycan is just finished its Necro free. They're taking a little bit control of the map. They have like very aggressive heroes. They just kill our Luna. I know like, okay, right now it's very, very likely for them to start hitting Roshan based on how the map is set up. So instead of like running bottom and thinking, okay, they're gonna push this tower, I'm thinking, okay, their most likely objective is Roche. I wanna like run and push out mid, or I wanna like poke here. I want to make sure I put my hero where I think they're gonna be. If the top lane is pushed out into the tower and the mid lane is pushed into the tower, it's very easy to know if they're gonna rosh or not because you have like a lot of information. So if you see on my hero, I don't TP out because I don't know exactly what they're doing. The Lycan could be hitting rosh or he could be there. You see I even draw on the map like this is where the enemies are, this is where I'm going, walking mid to push out. I think I will see in a bit. I see here that the Lycan is bottom, and then right away I can be like, alright guys, like we can chill, we don't need to stress they're not roshing, it's all good. If he keeps going bottom, I know I'm gonna position my hero towards where he's going, and then I also know if he moves away from bottom, I'm still thinking about, okay, rosh, they can go rosh, that's their main objective. I'm thinking, okay, he goes into fog, either I have a TP ready and I ask my team to scout rosh, or I think, okay, my team has no way of like stopping them from roshing, I need to be there first and I need to run in. The most important thing to keep in mind when you want to try and figure out what your win condition is to understand how your lineup matches into the enemy team's lineup, and like especially at what times in the game you're stronger than them and what times they're stronger than you. Sometimes teams or lineups have different power spikes. Usually that revolves around like big teamfight ultis, maybe BKBs, maybe blinks, maybe some heroes like Aluna needs a lot of farm, but maybe a hero like Tidehunter, I just need like a lot of levels. Like let's say I start the game as level 25 but I have no items, I'm definitely going to be the strongest hero in the game. There's like no question about it. At the same time, if the Luna starts the game with level 1 but 6 items, he's going to be like the strongest heroes in the game. You need to like understand how your heroes matches up into their heroes, and if you think that you're weaker than them, you need to like stop them from doing what they want to do and try and delay the game. And if you think you're stronger than the enemy, you want to make sure that you're the one taking objectives and you're the one taking control of the game. In order to be able to stop the enemy from doing what they want to do, as an offlaner, you generally want to put yourself against the heroes on the map. Either you're playing like a Tidehunter or a Underlord that wants to defend objectives. You want to make sure that if they want to push towers, if they want to go rosh, you're there spamming it out, defending. If you're playing a hero like Centaur or Axe, maybe you want to be smoke ganking on their carry, maybe you want to be setting up aggressive vision so that you apply pressure and force them to like fall back and to like defend their side. If you just give the enemy a lot of respect and all the space they want, they can always make like smart calculated moves, and it's very hard to play a game where I guess you're being passive instead of being defensive and being smart and making some moves and pressuring like here and there and making sure that they can't do whatever they want. If you're only wasting time and like thinking I'm just gonna like sit back and wait, usually everyone else in your team does the same thing, so it's like you on the offlaner to make sure that your team still does something even if you're playing on the defensive.